With a health status update following an injury scare and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. Kenny Omega has been out of action for months due to diverticulitis and is now set for surgery. He will be returning to AEW for a segment on Dynamite next week, saying this about it on his Twitch stream.
To hear it. I remember thinking about maybe showing up to Winnipeg. And it was a maybe. It really was just a maybe. And then I saw that my sister and my parents, my auntie who lives in Calgary, she had said, "Oh my goodness, we heard the big news." And I said, What big news? What the big news?" And he said, "Yeah, the arena is advertising your return." And I thought, come on, man. I'm 80% on board. 80% on board maybe, but I don't know, man. Well, man. And then I thought, well, I guess they advertised me. I guess that 80 becomes 100. Whatever. So I called the boss and I said, "Hey, man, you want to run a graphic or something? I guess I'll show up."
With Baron Corbin being drafted from NXT to Smackdown, this was said regarding what could be next for him on the brand. As it was noted, Baron Corbin was drafted as Fightful Select's Corey Brennan reported he would be last week. Both Sapp and Brennan heard that Corbin and Braun Breaker were drafted as separate brands because WWE sees a major single star in Breaker. In addition, Sapp was told that Corbin is likely to get a renewed look on SmackDown after not being pushed on the main roster since 2022. Brennan reported that Corbin was not at the WWE Performance Center. Speaking about potentially adding former NXT champion Ilya Dragunov to his group Imperium, Gunther said this to Gorilla Position. "I think Ilya is a better enemy than a friend. Yeah, it has to come down to that. He's one of us in terms of Kaiser, Ilya, and I. We all have wrestled each other years back. So I naturally want him to be where I am, and I think he's somebody that brings out the best in me, and I'm someone that brings out the best in him. And I think before it can happen, he has his own way to go wherever he ends up." Despite the WWE draft taking place on SmackDown, not many names ended up switching brands, as this move was explained by Fightful. We asked about the Friday process of barely having anyone switch brands and were told that the notion put forth on TV of retaining familiar talent was important. However, there are expected to be more swaps on Monday. We were also told to expect more NXT talent picked up that day. Following SmackDown, CM Punk would make an appearance and had this to say to fans in attendance.
Big things going on here in the WWE. The draft was today, the draft continues Monday. I felt compelled to come out here and speak to my friends in Cincinnati. I have missed you. And take a moment to look around at this place. Y'all packed this house. We couldn't do this without each and every single one of you. So on behalf of everybody backstage, in front of, and behind the camera, we humbly thank you very, very much. I want to give a little update. My tricep is not 100% yet. But I am on track, and I promise soon I will be back and I will be competing with all the big tough badasses backstage. guys having a good time tonight? I said, are you having a good time tonight? For me, it's fun watching a lot of the young superstars mixed with the Hall of Famers out here to announce draft picks. But ladies and gentlemen, I am in Cincinnati. And if we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame in Cincinnati, we're going to talk about Pete Rose. And we're going to talk about, I'm going to use my platform to spot this. It's not really a hot take. Pete Rose belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Whoa, easy now. Is that Pete Rose? No, it's not. That's not Pete. I've heard quite enough about frauds, liars. Pete Rose is a cheater, and he deserves the lifetime ban that he got.
After news of Vince McMahon being set to sell the rest of his stock in TKO came out, this was said regarding him starting his own pro wrestling company, as Ringside News wrote that, according to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, according to a source close to Vince McMahon, although he is interested in future business ventures, the notion of starting a new wrestling promotion is not on the table. This is in part because he needs to clear his name to some extent, but also because the consensus in the wrestling world is that creating a new promotion to rival the scale of WWE would be almost impossible. Regarding our lead story in last week's issue from someone very close to Vince McMahon, while he does want to start up business opportunities in the future, which will be difficult until he can clear his name to a degree, the idea of starting a new wrestling promotion is not one of them. The reality is the feeling from most in wrestling that he simply can't start from scratch and compete against something of the magnitude of WWE. It was then later added that what TV network wants to do business with Vince McMahon right now? Nobody. There has been no inclination from anyone close to Vince McMahon that he wants to start a wrestling company. The people that talked to me when I did the story a couple weeks ago, there are people that were very into wrestling, and they are very important people in wrestling, but they were not the person. They were not very close to Vince McMahon. The ones close to Vince McMahon were saying no, and it's an even stronger no this week. As Cody Rhodes looked to have hurt himself after landing on his shoulder during a match against Carmelo Hayes on Smackdown, Fightful Select provided an update. Speaking of the main event, we reached out to Cody Rhodes to ask if he was okay, and he said always, but that isn't exactly a definitive update. In a video clip posted by Hotspot, member of the group Def Rebel that makes music for WWE currently, Douglas J. Davis was seen accusing an Uber driver of anti-Semitism.
Douglas J. Davis falsely accused an Uber driver of anti-Semitism because his family was too big for the car.
I heard you say under your breath they look Jewish.
What? What?
4 times Grammy Award winner booked an Uber black car for 4 instead of an SUV for 5 without child seats, and when the driver refused to transport them for safety reasons, the man immediately started playing victim.
I'm being
Please
harassed.
explain. You know what happened to the CEO?
You're racially profiling us.
You're saying I racial profile you? You're 5 people, you book a black car,
Girls, go inside.
and you tell the high
You're
racial
threatening me.
profile.
You're threatening me.
For no, don't stay.
You're threatening me. I feel threatened.
For what?
You are threatening my children.
Say your children.
You are threatening my
You
children.
said that you're lawyer.
I
Hey,
am.
Stay
You are
far from me.
threatening. You got out of the car. You are the
Stay
aggressor. That's how the
I'm
law
closing
works.
the door.
You're the aggressor. You got out and chased me.
I'll make sure that the
You do that. Big shot. Let's see how far
big
that
shot.
gets you.
5 people.
Let's see
who were
how
black.
far it gets
Let's
you.
be honest.
You're the aggressor.
You're try for what?
You're the aggressor.
Man, please call.
I heard
so
you say.
you.
I heard you say under your breath they look Jewish.
What? What?
I heard you say.
Oh
I
my
don't wanna
God,
take
you are
Jews.
sick.
I heard you say. I don't
You're
wanna take-
sick. You're sick.
When the driver started to drive away, the man provoked him more.
You are sick. Leave me alone. Sick. You're sick. Sick.
What's wrong with him?
With Roman Reigns being brought up by fans watching Kenny Omega's live stream on Twitch, the cleaner had this to say in response: "I'm not going to accept any Roman Reigns slander in this chat. I really think he's incredible and I don't think he's boring. I would say I'm pretty jealous because Roman Reigns is presented the exact same way I would love to be presented. He's presented as the man who's the champion to have big matches at the pay-per-views where you're either really cheering for him or cheering for someone else. That's professional wrestling. He's getting to do what I did in New Japan, so I can't be a hater on that. I'm a fan." For an update on air times for SmackDown next week, Ringside News wrote that WWE is gearing up for another blockbuster premium live event after WrestleMania 40, which is WWE Backlash on May 4th. Ahead of the show, it appears the UK and Ireland will be getting new air times for the 3rd of May episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Traditionally, when WWE records episodes in Europe, they air on delay at their usual time, aligning with schedules for both US and European fans. However, WWE is making changes to this approach for the upcoming broadcasts. The May 3rd edition of Friday Night SmackDown will be taped in Lyon, France, according to television listings for TNT Sports 1 in the UK and Ireland. This episode will air earlier than usual from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. This is a significant shift from the typical delayed broadcast format. Additionally, WWE Backlash is set to take place on May 4th in Lyon, France, and tickets are selling out quite quickly for the event. The event's main event will feature Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Undisputed Championship against AJ Styles. This shift in scheduling allows fans in the UK and Ireland to watch these events closer to real time, offering a more synchronized viewing experience with the live tapings in Europe. Recalling the loss of his Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 42, Sami Zayn Gunther had this to say to Gorilla Position: "I don't think there was one right person. I think there would have been a few options. Chad Gable is the other one that would have made a lot of sense. Sami is definitely one of those where it was he's the right guy to do it. He's absolutely a fantastic professional wrestler. He has the natural connection with the audience. He's really the underdog that people can connect with and understand the struggle. It's naturally the personality he is. He doesn't look like the perfect athlete. That's not who he is or ever was. That also adds to the people having a connection because basically nobody in our audience is a perfect person. It's a very human thing to not be perfect. It's very easy to connect with it and to go through those struggles with that person. On top of that, he's fantastic in the ring and has been for years. To do the match with him at the biggest stage possible and go out in the biggest way possible, I was very happy with that. It was a very successful ending to that reign." Prior to their AEW debut match on Collision against The Acclaimed, the Grizzled Young Vets had this to say in a video.
Guys, the GYV, you have been all over the place. I haven't been able to get a hold of you. You're going non-stop.
Non-stop's an understatement. We said that we wanted to live the pirate life again, and life is good. We've been traveling all over the States, all over Canada, all over Europe. The relaunch of TNA, Revolver Tag Team Champions, the undisputed British Tag Team Champions. We've been living out of suitcases, sleeping in the sky, seeing the world and every single inch of it, good and bad.
But I'm getting exhausted just hearing this. At what point do you rest?
Rest? Rest? Rest is for soft lads. You're forgetting who you're talking to, lad. We are grizzled young veterans. We may be a dying breed, but we are not dead yet. And the only time that we are going to rest is when they throw dirt on our cold, dead bodies. We have been out here for 6 months and it is brutal. The talent out here is hungry, but we are starving. What you're looking at now is the purest form of the GYV. We are better than ever, firing on all cylinders. So to anyone who wants to step up, remember this. When you see the GYV coming, grit your teeth. Rest.
For a health update on Dominik Mysterio, Ringside News wrote that during this week's episode of Raw, a scheduled tag team match featuring Dominik Mysterio and JD McDonough against Andrade and Ricochet was derailed when Dominik arrived at ringside sporting a sling on his arm, indicating an injury. As a result, Dominik was forced to withdraw from the match, prompting adjustments to the bout lineup. Initial reports hinted at the possibility of Dominik undergoing Tommy John surgery to address his injury. However, in reassuring turn of events, Dominik himself confirmed that surgery would not be necessary, bringing relief to concerned fans. In a recent edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer shed light on Dominik's status, revealing that the young wrestler has opted for physical therapy as part of his recovery process. He's going through physical therapy. He said no to surgery, and I checked with WWE today and they said yeah, he's going to do physical therapy. He's not going to have surgery, but that was the original word on Tuesday, was that he's getting surgery. That's the deal. While the exact timeline for Dominik's return remains uncertain, it's evident that he is prioritizing his rehabilitation. Fans eagerly await his comeback to the squared circle, although it may be some time before he is fully ready to resume action. Touching on the WWE process of recruiting talent for the company, The Undertaker noted on his 6 Feet Under podcast, there is a quota of guys they take from independents, but I'm pretty sure the objective now is to hit these NFL combines, the Big 12 combines, and get those type of athletes. And they do have open workouts too. They had one in Australia when we were over there a month or so ago for Elimination Chamber Perth. It's a lot different. It's another layer of the evolution of the product and the athletes. Holy crap, that Big 12 combine I went to, man, when I played high school, we didn't have running backs, wide receivers running 4.5 second 40-yard dashes. And these guys are 300 pounds, 6'6", just motoring. During that same podcast, The Undertaker heaped praise on AJ Styles, saying this: AJ Styles ticks all the boxes. While I don't know if there will ever be another Shawn Michaels, AJ Styles possesses the ability to work seamlessly with anyone. Despite not being physically imposing, AJ can elevate any opponent and deliver a convincing, top-notch performance. That's kind of the reason why the whole Boneyard match happened, is because I didn't get a chance to work with AJ, and that lured me. I really do hold him in such high regard as a human being and as a performer. They would have torn the house down. That matchup would undoubtedly have been a 5-star spectacle. As Kiana James was called up from NXT to Raw during the WWE draft last night, details regarding this were provided by Fightful, who said Kiana James was genuinely surprised by her call-up, as she was not told what brand she would end up on post the draft. James's video package was prepared earlier this week per Brennan. One talent in NXT noted James was previously one of the best in-ring workers on NXT's women's roster. In an update on the legal issues for an ex-WWE name, the Associated Press wrote that a retired professional wrestler and former congressional candidate in Nevada and Texas has been indicted on a murder charge in the death of an Idaho man who suffered a head injury during a Halloween party at a Las Vegas Strip hotel. Daniel Rodimer, 45, who now lives in Texas, is expected to appear before a Nevada judge May 8th following his indictment Friday in the death of Christopher Tapp. His defense attorneys, David Chesnoff and Richard Schoenfeld, said Friday that Rodimer maintains his complete innocence and looks forward to his day in court. Tapp, 47, of Idaho Falls, was injured October 29th at the resort's World Hotel and taken to a hospital where he died several days later, police said. He had served more than 20 years in prison in Idaho in a 1996 killing before receiving an $11.7 million settlement from Idaho Falls in 2022 in a wrongful conviction lawsuit. Investigators initially believed Tapp had been fatally injured in a fall, but they later learned that he had been in an argument with Rodimer. Rodimer, a Republican who lost bids for Congress in Nevada in 2020 and in Texas in 2021, surrendered to Las Vegas police for his arrest March 6th and remains free on a $200,000 bail. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.